the story, okay? So therefore we have the parks and we have the resorts and the hotels and eventually the cruise lines. Now it also has something else within it. He wanted something for all the families, as you probably are aware. He wanted somewhere to take his little daughters where he would have some fun himself, right? So it's something for the families. He also wanted somewhere for the adults to escape and somewhere for the children to escape also. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that as we head around the ship, okay? Now, back when they were designing the Disney Magic and the Disney Wonder, Michael Eisner, who was the CEO at that time, he wanted a modern classic. By that, he wanted a classic looking ship of the 1930s, and we're going to talk a lot about the 1930s as we head around, all of the design specifics as we go through there. But also he wanted all the mod cons that we take every day, like the elevators, the air conditioning that you probably notice on board, so all of that. Now, he wanted to out-tradition tradition. Okay, so that was the theme when they were designing everything on the Disney Magic and of course the Disney Wonder. As you may have noticed, there are two smokestacks. Only one of them is real, the other one is where we stuck all the teenagers. Not because we don't want them, because they have fun of that. Now, it's, you know, in nautical terms or in ship history, the more smokestacks you have, the luckier the ship, more likely, or less likely, sorry, it won't sink. Titanic had 4, so that is our tradition. But they do have 2 for that look of the 1930 ship. Now, can anyone tell me where this ship or the Disney Magic was built? Country?
Italy.
Italy, Venice, Italy. So, if you have a look around here, you can't see anything to do with Disney. This is the only part of the ship that has nothing to do with Disney. This is our dedication to Venice, Italy, where the ships were built. So you can see the Camellia dell'Arte mast right behind you. Very bold Art Deco designs. Now what we're going to do, we're going to head through and we're going to head down to deck 5, okay? As you look at the carpet, it's all very bold colours and strong patterns. You can actually see outside there's some poles going along on the left-hand side of the wall. Those are replicas of where they tried the gondolas to. Now, Parlo actually means pole in Italian. They came up with a lot of different ideas of what they wanted to call the restaurant. They stuck with Parlo because there's 65 different nationalities on board. And they thought that was the easiest word to say in all those different languages. So that's why they came up with Parlo, which actually means pole. And they are right behind you as well, those poles right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to head through, we're going to head down to deck 5. If you want to take the elevators, meet us down on 5, okay? You can go anywhere on this ship and pretty much have a clue where you are on the ship according to the carpet. So this carpet you will only find outside Parlo's, alright? We're heading down to deck 5. For those of you who are walking down with me, count how many carpets, how many different carpets you see, alright? And there is a reason why. There was actually more than 5. 6. Very close, there was 7 carpets on the way down. Now there's a reason I asked you to count how many, just from those 4 decks, there was 5 different carpets. Now, most cruise lines have between 30 to 50 different carpets. On Disney Cruise Lines, we have 120 different carpets, all right? So each venue, you'll notice, has a different carpet. And as I said, it's a mapping system. Now, if you have a look at these inlays right here, these are all handmade in the Philippines. You always at the end, you'll always find something different. Now, the anchor means that there's entertainment on this floor. See a starfish, it means you can go out on deck. There's dolphins, it means it's just staterooms on that floor. So there's all yeah. Now, if you didn't know, this means you're on a staircase. If you didn't know that, you might be in trouble. And this one is only found on deck 5. Now we're going to head around. You know what? The carpets are all linked to the signs that you see everywhere around you. You probably noticed there's a whole lot of signs. There's 4 just right there. There's a sign right there. Some signs right here. Now, Animal Kingdom have 18,000 signs. We have 2,700 signs. Now, the reason for that is being, once you're on board, we want you to feel at home. You wouldn't walk around with a map like you would in the park. We want you to feel at home and you wouldn't be lost in your home. So that's why there's so many different signs and it's all linked with the carpet. All right, we're heading around to the Buena Vista Theatre. Brand new carpet, once again, don't worry, don't have to keep on counting. Okay. So this is our dedication to the 1930s right here. This is why we have the plush leather and the drapes. And also plush on these parts of the doors. Now, if you've been in here, you'd have seen this material on the walls, okay? Now it's all padded, and actually all of this surround sound. In the 1930s, you wouldn't have speakers on show. So that's why you have this material all the way around. The surround sound is behind it, just for the visual effect. Also, if you've been in there, you notice you may have had a can of Coke or a cup of coffee. Uh-oh, where do I put it? No cup holders. You wouldn't have them in the 1930s. That's exactly why. Okay, so that's the Buena Vista Theatre, the dedication to the 1930s cruise lines. Alright, so we're going to head up to the atrium part of the ship. Now, if you have a look to the left, you'll see that we have yellow lifeboats. Not many other cruise lines have yellow. In fact, Disney were the first ones to have yellow. You'll notice that most other cruise lines have orange lifeboats. Oh, you keep on walking. It's alright. Just tell me if I'm going to run over anyone. Okay, now there is a reason for that. We're going to get to that in a little bit. There's actually a system of why we have different colours on the outside of the ship and certain colours. Now this yellow, they said, is not as visible as orange. The Coast Guards wouldn't allow it. They did a lot of testing and they eventually got the yellow. And you won't find that colour yellow anywhere else because Disney owns that colour yellow. And they proved that it is very visible at sea. Alright, on the right hand side you can see a fun adaptation of the nautical alphabet. You can see right here. Does anyone actually know what the poop deck means?
No.
And it's not where all the seagulls go.
Aft and highest.
Yes, exactly. It's the most aft of the ship and the most highest, which on the Disney Wonder is deck 7 aft. So if you haven't been there, check it out. That is the official poop deck of the Disney Wonder.
Are the carpets the same identical on the Magic or no?
No, actually it's completely different. You'll notice our statue here is Ariel. It's all very blues and greens and nautical feel. Whereas we have Mickey on the Magic, and the chandelier right here is much smaller and more brightly coloured. It's a completely different colouring system. This is all nautical. Okay, so right here you may have noticed we have a humongous chandelier. This is by Del Chihuly. He is one of the greatest glass artists of our time. Now he had a challenge. He's always made things out of glass. You can imagine a chandelier that size made of glass on a moving ship. Never a good idea. So that's actually made of acrylic right there. Now what he did, I don't know how big his warehouse was, but he made an exact replica of the atrium with all these decks around it, okay? Then he put scaffolding right in the middle. He wanted to view his chandelier from every single point that the guest was going to see it. So it was aesthetically pleasing. So there you go. Now if you have a look past the chandelier, you can see right over there on deck 5, there's a porthole. You can see a bit of a gap and then another porthole. You can see the lifeboat right there. There is a reason for that. Now going back to the art of the theme, saying there's something for families, adults and children. Well, sometimes we have adult events going on here, like the auction. Here is the Oceaneers Club and there is the lab where all the children live. Now, if you wanted to get all the children from one club to the lab, it's going to be very noisy. That is a secret passageway right there. So you can transport all the children and you don't hear a sound from them. There you go. So that's the reason for that one. There's only children allowed. I was actually lucky enough to stand beneath the propeller right there and touch it. I was in dry dock in October with the Disney Magic. Standing underneath that ship was quite frightening, to say the least. But it's quite amazing. It took 4 hours to raise it out of the water. We all had to stay on board. What happened? We pulled in. We were in Norfolk, Virginia. We pulled in and they slowly lowered the water and it was on stilts of concrete. Now Now these concrete, it didn't look very thick, but it was big enough to hold our humongous ship right there. And if you didn't know, the Disney Wonder is going to be going into dry dock in October of this year.
Why?
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 Because, well, as you probably realise, the ships never stop. We don't have a day off, and neither does the ship. So it's a legal requirement between every 3 and 5 years that it goes into dry dock. Just to have all its changes, we ripped up every piece of carpet, everything was replaced. Of course, the propellers, the engines were all maintained, and we repainted the whole entire ship. Okay then, so now we're outside the Walt Disney Theatre. As you can see, the carpet has changed once again. It's got the red carpet of fill to make it feel very official, and that's why we have the red right over here. Now I'm sure you all came to see Toy Story the musical. That's we only have that on the Disney Wonder. If you've been on the Disney Magic, we have Twice Charmed. And if you didn't come and see the matinee, we do have Disney Dreams. Now that has won the Wave Award for the best show in 7 seas. So you really do have to come and see that one. Now, that's tonight, 6:15 and 8:30. Actually hold 977 people, a lot of people, and it has cup holders. Yay! Alright, well here's the boss himself, Mr. Walt Disney. Now this was taken from a tiny photo, it was blown up and it was baked individually onto each tile. Now what they did, they made the tile much bigger than it was. You can imagine making each tile match up, especially with this free jacket right here. So they made it much bigger and then they cut it down to match the pattern. But there is something missing from this photo. I'm sure someone would know. Yep, it was digitally remastered. There was something in the photo that isn't there now, which is, yes, there was a cigarette right here in between his fingers. You can see that it's a little bit smoky around here. They didn't edit that out. Now obviously Walt did die of lung cancer, and Disney as a company does not promote smoking, so that's the reason that we took it out. So now he's smoke free, woohoo! Now take a look at Treasure Catch, the sign. Each side there are 3 nautical flags. That actually spells DCL, the Disney Cruise Line, in the nautical alphabet. Then if you have a look, you can see the ship, and there's actually 6 flags. People ask me why there's no carpet on this area. You know what? We don't know the reason. I'm just thinking, with all the ladies we have on board and all the shopping, between the 2 shops, the carpet would wear out within a few cruises. So I'm thinking that's the reason we don't have carpet here. Okay then, if you've been looking for some hidden Mickeys, you may have seen them in the elevator shafts right here. You can see the top of his head and the ears. Full of hidden Mickeys right there. Now also down the banister, you can see the characters hanging on down there, starting off with Pluto all the way down the banisters. And one point that I never noticed until I saw it, you guys can stay there, all the way around are the Disney characters all the way around the atrium. Now they're performing every single job that is done with Disney Cruise Line. So you've got Mickey as the entertainer, you've got Pluto as the lifeguard, of course Goofy is the captain, there's Clarabelle, she's working in the gym, Daisy is the housekeeper, and it goes all the way around. So there's all different jobs that you find on board performed by all of our characters. Alright, we're going to head to Studio C right now. Alright, we've got youth activities in there at the moment, so we can't go in, but we have some hidden Mickeys right here on the door. Now this is treated like a working sound station. You watching the show, part of a TV audience in here, okay? So you have the red carpet going in here, you have the box office of the 1930s and all the photos of the stars of that time either side. As you walk in, you have the paparazzi. Now I can't open the door because I do believe that they, oh you can see right here. There's some paparazzi taking your photo as you walk into the door. You also, and there's actually show reels. The pillars going up right there. Yep. You can see the pillars heading up to the ceiling. Those are stacks of show reels right there. And if you look at the bar area, it's just like the makeup room. You have the light bulbs going all the way around. So it really is like TV studio. I'm sure you've all eaten in here right now. As you can see, the entrance is all very black and white, and inside is black and white. And now I'm sure if you've seen the show, slowly, just like a paint palette, it adds colour and touches, and it comes to life. Now this is our most expensive restaurant on board, and you probably know exactly why. Now we have all of the characters on the wall all the way around, but you can actually see there's all holes inside. That's because it's going to be projecting light out and of course sound. Behind all of these we have speakers going on. Now the whole of this restaurant is set on a computer system. We're not individually turning the lights and the pictures on. So it all goes together and the light goes exactly with the sound, okay? Now if you have a look at the pillars right here, they're actually paintbrushes going into the palette. Number 6, does anyone know why number 6 is on there? After the ship, except one, Tritons. Now there is a reason behind this. It's all to do with the word posh. Okay, back in the 1930s, the atrium where we just were would act as the ballroom. There would be ballroom dancing, the dinner bell would go, all the posh people, and they actually had posh on their tickets, would head straight to dinner into Tritons, and that's why there's a more formal feel in there. All the poorer people would head to the back of the ship for dinner, okay? Now posh actually stands for port out, starboard home. This was between England and India, going through the Suez Canal. Obviously, those days they didn't have air conditioning, so the posh people would want the cooler side of the ship. So they would head out on the port side. As soon as they turn around to go India to England, they would make them switch. So all the poor people would have to go on the hot side, or the posh people would have to go on, or would want to go on the cooler side, and it would be starboard home. So that's actually how the word properly is brought out, starboard home. And that's why all of the places that you eat are after the ship, except Triton, our posh restaurant. So that's the reason behind that. So, and that's also the reason why this is the most expensive restaurant on board, because of the whole computer system developed into Marcia Brady. Alright, we're going to head out onto deck. Look at the wood that we use. You can see it's a very old-fashioned type of look. It's actually teak wood. That's for the look of it, and also it's the most durable wood under the sea conditions, under salt water. So that's why we use teak. And also for the 1930s feel, that's why we have the wooden lounges right here, and of course shuffleboard. You can see them. Now they head out 28 feet by 8 feet. They're bright blue wings right underneath the ship, and as I say, the magic is 1/8 inch longer. There is a